And I sure was going to get it done this
Oh, I'm
time.
sorry.
So I think that we need to ask you one thing. The other day I was talking to you about this dish that I used to set in the counter out there. Grandma Cousins would tell me stuff, about her different dishes and stuff. One dish I had was beautiful. It had blue on it and it was trimmed in gold leaf or something. It had gold on the edges. And Grandma said that she used to get up at 5:30 in the morning and start baking pies for Sunday. And that they go over to this lady's house, and this lady is who gave her that dish.
Probably Mrs. Greer. She was, her husband owned the hardware store where Uncle Dick worked.
Okay.
And I imagine it was Mrs. Greer.
Yeah, tell about that store Uncle Dick worked at, that they did that.
Well, back then the hardware stores were your funeral homes. And it was even here at Grizzly. Wheeler ran a hardware store, and he was the undertaker. But back then, the same way down there, Uncle Dick worked for the Greer Hardware and undertaking. And I don't know why the hardware stores were the undertakers.
That furniture was crazy.
Yeah, I remember that Grandpa told a story about Dick getting the suit. The suit had a bullet hole in it, but otherwise it was a really nice, expensive, nice suit. And he said that the undertaker threw it out, and Dick went out and got it out of the garbage, and it fit him. So he decided to take it. He didn't mind about the bullet hole.
Who's Dick?
Uncle Dick, Tom's brother. Dick Thomas.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that shit.
Just looking over there, Kenny has a fireplace here. Was there ever a fireplace in the house here when you were growing up? They didn't lock anything out or anything? That was never ever there. Okay, I couldn't read. I knew there was a stove, but
All there was a parlor heater,
A day stove.
a space heater. And that's where we, in the wintertime, put a tub behind the stove, and that's where we took a bath.
So then when you tore this down, it was gas heat then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's
a furnace.
Furnace under there? Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
when
it's been in
did-
there quite a few.
Yeah, when did you convert over to the gas heat then? Do you remember? When you got rid
Yeah, I
of the
remember
stove?
Doing it.
Huh?
I remember him doing it.
Yeah, but it was after I was gone.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
was it that long? Okay.
See, I was only here about 17
Yeah,
years.
you went early, didn't you, to the service?
You were 17 when you went into the service? Yeah, and you were on a hospital ship with Heimlich?
Dr. Heimlich was on the ship, and Catherine Hepburn was brother.
Oh, okay, Captain Hepburn's brother. All right. He was a doctor, huh?
Yeah, he was a doctor on the ship.
Oh, really?
And guess what kind of doctor he was?
Probably gynecologist.
No,
Oh,
venereal disease.
close.
What kind of doctor was Heimlich?
I don't know what he was on there. But I read later that Catherine Hepburn's father was a venereal disease doctor in Los Angeles.
Really?
And so her brother was too. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you were stationed, when you went ashore, where you were stationed, what you could eat the eggs or not the eggs?
That was the only thing for safety.
Was it?
Yeah, everything
Why
else
why don't you begin at the beginning of your service career? You were
I went to Great Lakes, went to boot camp at the Great Lakes, and then
But you tried to get into another service, didn't you?
well, I had taken the Air Force test in high school and went to Fort Des Moines and took the physical and passed it, and they wouldn't call me till I was 18. And then Pee Wee Cranston and Lawrence Reed came and wanted me to go join the Navy with them. And so we went to Atlantic and caught the Rock Island Rocket to Des Moines and turned my papers in to the Air Force and told them I wouldn't report. And then we went and tried to join the Navy, and they said we had to go back to Council Bluffs. There. So we went back to Council Bluffs and later. And one of them was flat-footed, the other colorblind, and I passed. So I went to the Navy alone there.
Did they ever get in?
They went to the Army.
The Army took them?
Army's not quite so particular.
I couldn't figure why the Navy that don't do all the marching.
Here's the
Or
thing.
take somebody flat-footed, and the Army will.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense.
No, that doesn't. Then what you do?
Well, I come home for a few days after boot camp, and then I went to Indianapolis, Indiana, to radio school. And when I was there, we were through school, and our orders was waiting on get the orders finalized to California, and we could drop off. I could stop off here at home for a few days. And we were supposed to go to Okinawa for the build-up of the invasion of Japan. But then they dropped the A-bomb, but they sent us on to Okinawa. And we just got into Buckner Bay on Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, they ordered everything that had power to get out of Buckner Bay. A typhoon was headed for Buckner Bay. So we headed out to sea. And any ship, there was several ships. There was a freighter in front of us that even had deck cargo, and the only time you'd ever see it was when it was sitting on top of a wave.
Oh my God.
Otherwise, it was down below.
What was it like being in the ocean like that? I mean, were you all sick?
Well, there was a lot of them sick, but we were in the aft hold, and the rudder shaft went down on the backside of our hold. It was an old cargo ship, and they put ladders down into the holes and put bunks 5 high with about a 3-foot alleyway between them. And there was 2,000 sailors on this merchant marine manned Army transport. And not a Navy officer on it, and they like to starve us to death. Cleaned out all the lifeboats. There was no sea rations left.
Good thing you didn't have to use those lifeboats.
But anyway, we rode the Typhoon out for 3 days in the ocean. And then we went back into Buckner Bay. We had to have some repairs. And everything was destroyed on the shore. And so they sent the 7th Fleet on to Shanghai, China. That was where they were basing the 7th Fleet. So as soon as we could travel, we went on to Shanghai, and that's where I got assigned to the hospital ship for boats as a radio operator.
So when did you go to radio school? Before your assignment or
In Indianapolis, Indiana.
in Indianapolis? You had those training there. Okay.
From March, sometime in March till the end of July. But then we went out, when I started copying radio, we had to copy the fastest circuit in the Navy, 35 words a minute out of Guam. And it took a while before you could copy that, so I set back up. Kind of 2 or 3 weeks, I would set back up on it until I could follow. Then I got 3rd class on the ship, 3rd class radio. And I was the last operator that could stand watch. And the comm officer, when I left, he said, "I'll get you 2nd class if you'll just stay and not re-enlist." I said, "I feel sorry for you, but I'm going home." He was a nice guy, but I wasn't going to sign over to help.
Another year to help.
No, I had to sign over 4 years.
Oh, you did? Oh, goodness.
Oh gosh, yeah. And you had that picture painted of Mom by somebody on shore, that picture that he...
That from a Bill full-size picture, Chinese artist. painted.
Yeah, and he painted her with blue eyes.
Huh?
Painted her with blue eyes.
She did have blue eyes, didn't she?
No.
Didn't have brown eyes.
She had blue eyes.
Yeah,
No, you have blue eyes.
She did too.
Yeah, she didn't
I
have
thought you,
brown.
who had the green?
I don't. Mom had blue eyes. Hazel.
Well, how did I get green eyes?
I have no idea.
Mom had blue green.
Are you all blue? You blue?
Hazel.
You're what?
No, I don't think mine are.
See,
Are yours brown?
those are blue.
Are you blue, Mary?
I'm blue.
Then how come I'm green? I have green
Maybe you're
eyes.
not. Maybe you are not one of us.
Well, you know, Mary Sue starts with an M. Mary and Mom's name start with an M. Yours starts with an M. D.
Mine starts
A little
with a
bit
K.
further.
You were named after Beverly Shelley.
Fine.
She was a good friend of
Oh,
ours.
that's neat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We used to take her to Sunday school all the time.
Beverly Silk?
Yeah, we used to pick her up and take her to Sunday
She's the
school.
oldest of Sharon and
Leo
Yeah.
Silk's
Oldest daughter.
Yeah. And we liked the name Beverly. And that's how you got named
That's
Beverly.
interesting. I know how I got my name.
How's that?
Marilyn Monroe was pretty famous then.
I remember it was after her.
Okay, I always wanted to know, Kenny got a picture, when was it, World Herald or something? A picture of him playing with a toy? How'd
in
that
Des Moines
happen?
Register.
Des Moines Register?
Tommy took it, didn't he? Uncle Tommy took it.
How
And
did
then-
he happen to get into the register?
Tommy sent it in.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he sent pictures in and they printed it.
Gosh, he was in the paper when he was young. He's been on the news as he's older.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, Kathy Dugan told me that you're very popular at Creighton. They show that video online.
Oh, that one is it.
The water conservation.
But we would go back and forth between Shanghai and Tsingtao, China, up in North China. And I had enough points to come home when we were in Tsingtao, and so I got troop ship. Got into San Francisco. We were coming into the bay about 10 o'clock in the morning, and they fed us some sandwiches. And we didn't get anything else to eat all day. We had to get we could ship our sea bags, but we carry a ditty bag with us. And so it was midnight when we got ashore, when we got processed and got to San Francisco. And one of the guys with us was an Italian, and he wanted to go to an Italian restaurant, so we did. And we first had a steak dinner. And then we got another dinner, but I don't remember what it was. But it was 3 o'clock in the morning when we got through eating.
You were on land and you wanted to eat.
That's where you got that food poisoning. Didn't all your buddies get food poisoning somewhere?
We got it in China.
Yeah, but you didn't eat the steak. You took one bite and you knew it was bad.
Oh, that was on the ship home.
Yeah.
Well, they kept 2 trays of steak over from the meal before. We weren't supposed to. And as soon as I got that ptomaine poisoning out of China, as soon as I tasted that meat, I knew what was wrong. And so I never ate it. And the one day, we ended up in sick bay that night with poison.
How'd you get food poisoning in China?
First night I went ashore, I went to the Palace Hotel to get a steak dinner. Then we both ended up with food poisoning. But we figured out later when we was ashore in the morning, the Chinese would slaughter their beef in the morning, throw it on an old cart, and go around the back doors of these hotels and restaurants, and they'd chop off whatever they wanted. And here the flies was all over. I seen that in the daytime. And this old scurvy Chinese sitting up on top of it.
Goodness, I can't imagine.
Yeah. But when we were over there, Normally and I, it was safe to eat the food.
I can't remember when you came back. You married Mom.
Yeah, I got home. I got discharged from Minneapolis on the 5th of August, and we got married the 17th.
Yeah. So then, where did you live? Where was the first place you lived?
This old house that used to sit down here for wood.
Okay. Because I didn't think you went straight to the farm.
Well, it was September. We rented that old house of Woolen House. We had moved up into the big house up on the street, and we rented the old house down there. And
Had been auto, right? Auto.
And we were there then until we got that house. The people moved out down there 1st of January. They moved back to Illinois. And so we started working on the house. And some of the plaster in the dining room come off, and we couldn't. The guy from Elliott was supposed to come plaster it, and we was having trouble getting him out there. We cleaned some of the rooms, and we had a 2-burner lac oil stove in the dining room that heated the house. And I put my brushes in a gallon can of water. Went back the next morning and there was ice on it with the stove going full blast.
So did you rent the farm down there?
Yeah, I rented it from Dad for a year,
Oh, Grandpa.
or for 2 years.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And then he got a chance to buy this one, and he wanted to sell that one. And I bought that from him then, and he bought this one.
So were they living in the house then before they moved up here? Who did you buy? Which grandpa?
Grandpa's cousin bought this.
I know, but,
No, but he bought the farm down
He
there.
had bought the farm
but
down
they
there.
weren't living there.
No, he bought it just about the, I don't know, 42 or something, just about the time the war started.
Okay, all right.
He had a chance to buy it when he bought it. And Charlie Stephenson.
That's a long ways away back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And then how long did you live there before you built the milk house then? Because I remember when the milk house was built, but I just don't.
I built that the summer she was born.
We got a lot when she was born. We got a TV set, we got an indoor
We got
bathroom.
TV set after Kenny was sick. And he could, we
Max is coming.
wasn't supposed to take him out in the wintertime. 1949,
He got sick and you couldn't take him out?
yeah.
So,
And that's when we got the TV set, it's a 12-inch one.
Oh,
The milk house is gone now, but we went down there this summer and all those kids' names are still in the concrete.
is it really?
Yeah, we went down there, took Alicia, Jason, Lana, Chelsea, we all went down there. And I know the guy that owns it,
Oh, do you?
and told him about it. He said, yeah, I think they're there, so we went back there. They're
Are
all
they
there.
all there? Is it just the slab that's left?
Yeah, see, that would have been,
Is this a milk house gone?
yeah, he took the milk house down just recently, the last couple of years. But that slab would have been out,
Well, there was slab south of the milk house, and then there was slab all around the hay shed.
yeah, well, our names, would have been around the water tank somewhere.
Could have been. It's the barn, I know, has been gone, and the hay shed's been gone. It's the hog house still there.
Oh, that was the last thing I remember being there, but I'm not sure it's there anymore.
I can't remember. I don't think it's corn cribs there. That's Hog house might still be there.
Is the windbreak still standing on all those trees? They're down. There were a few fruit trees, mulberry trees and stuff.
yeah, remember we used to go pitching for pie?
That's a machine shed there now,
Is it?
where the garden area used to be.
Yeah, what about the cave?
It's all gone. House has been gone quite a few years.
Yeah, remember the cave outside the house?
It's all gone.
They've
I think
filled
too
it
many
in.
people live there.
Now you want to drive down there, I don't think there's anything left that we had except the corn crib.
Yeah. Fence is gone too, isn't it?
We at least have the memories, but anyway, you got hurt.
You take it off?
Your hand got hurt.
Oh, I'm glad I got to see you.
Come back and see.
I see.
sweetie.
For him doing the
Morse code.
Morse code or you texting?
Are we on?
I think Grandpa could win.
So, Grandpa, what's faster, doing Morse code or texting?
Well, I done Morse code 35 words a minute.
35 words? Pretty sure I could text 100 in like 30 seconds. You want to
Wait,
But that's it. I don't know how to do the knocking.
The knocking?
And the knocking sounds so much better than.
Can't even hear anything.
Yeah, the Morse code is not knocking.
When I come home, of course, I'm still doing a lot of it, tapping. And Mary told me later she thought I'd lost my mind.
Aww.
Basically, you practiced all the time.
Huh?
You're just practicing all the time.
Yeah, well, you're copying code all the time. And we were on 4 hours on, 4 hours off, till we finally got it moved to 6 hours on and 6 hours off, so we could get some sleep.
At one time, you went to school where Madison lived when she was little.
Yeah.
You want to talk about country school?
Well, they burned our school down on Thanksgiving vacation, 1938.
On purpose?
Yeah, firebug. He burnt the one 2 miles south of Grizzle and the one 2 miles east of Grizzle. And we were milking, and somebody come in, because Dad was the director. They come down there and said the schoolhouse was on fire. And so we jumped in the car and run over there, and Dad went in the door, and he said the piano was what was on fire. And when they got the guy that done it, he admitted he took the music off of the piano and stuffed it inside and lit it and shut the top down. And that's what he set that afire with. But they had him arrested before morning because somebody seen an old Overland car sitting behind the schoolhouse south of town, and this guy that was picking corn for Cass Wasmer, another mile east of our school, was the only guy around here driving an Overland car. And they got a match of the tire prints down there, and they matched his.
What was his reason behind it?
He was a firebug, just wanted to,
Like fire?
evidently he was around watching them burn.
You know, there's people like that who just like to watch
So
things
we
burn.
had, from other schools, we got enough desks in the two front rooms up here where Brent used to live. He put planks in there so we didn't fasten the desks to the floor, and they fastened them to those planks. And we had 2 rows of desks there, and the teacher's desk was in that south room right under that window, the narrow window up above. And we had school there the rest of the year, and then during the summer, the WPA built our school and the one south of school town.
The window in the south room?
You know what the WPA was? That was what Franklin Roosevelt started to give people some work.
No.
They didn't get very big wages, but they at least got enough to live on.
To live. So what did the initial stand for?
Works Progress Administration, or we're poking along.
Okay, Kendra had a wonderful question to ask you. Kendra, would you like to ask Grandpa this question?
Yes, Grandpa. When I was a teenager, my family and you and Grandma, we all went down to Florida, and on the way we stopped at this underground cave and lake. Well, cave, and it's an underground lake. And you said that your father, as a kid, would go in there and shoot his BB gun.
No, Dad used to play in that cave, and another bunch of boys used to play in that cave, but they had to get out and crawl in.
Well, they had to get down and crawl in.
Yeah, and then one of the kids took a gun in there, a pistol, and shot it. And Dad said it liked to deafen them all, the reverberation of the sound inside that cave.
So you only did that once, huh?
They just did it once.
And then did he sign his name anywhere in there?
He had his initials, and when I stopped there one time, it was in the wintertime, and this gal that was the guide, we were the only ones in the group, and she said, well, my uncle's initials are in here, and he said, I'll take you where they are. I'm not supposed to, but I'll take you there. And she turned the light on in that room, and I seen TA up there,
Oh, wow.
TA Cousins,
Wow.
His last name's in there too?
TAC,
Or TAC?
Thomas Alonzo Cousins,
What's the name of the cave?
the Lost Sea.
Oh, the Lost Sea.
At Sweetwater, Tennessee, out in the country, east of Sweetwater, where they used to live.
Isn't there a cabin there too, that family?
Well, close to where their home was, there was an old mountaineer who lived in a cabin, and it was rotting down, but it was still there.
Now, the house, was it the one that, I forget what her name, her last name was White. Was it the one she lived in?
No, this is down at Sweetwater. That's up at Loudon.
Okay.
White's were his sister was married White, and they had a big family.
Now, Grandma was 15 when her mother died,
Something like that. I don't know exactly.
and
Her mother made her promise that she would stay home and take care of the kids, of the two other daughters, until they were out of high school. And that's why Dad batched and farmed up there on the corner for 4 years. And then he went back to Tennessee and they got married.
Okay, so that wait for the sisters. That was Carrie Mae,
Carrie Mae was the youngest. Bertie was in
Bertie
between.
Lee.
Bertie and Carrie Mae.
Yeah. And Carrie Mae married
Howard Largen.
Howard. He was fun. He had such a dry sense of humor. I was down there one time. Remember, I got sick going down there, and we had to stay at the place for a while. I went out on the porch, and he was always whittling.
Yeah.
And I sat down beside him, and he said he kind of just kept on whittling me. He goes, I have a heart condition. I says, you do? I didn't know this. And he goes, yeah, when I sits down, I just don't have the heart to get up. All right. And then there was those two little, what is it, Ricky and, what was the other ones?
The who?
Those two little boys.
His grandsons.
Yeah, Ricky and,
I don't remember. Mary Sue, you remember what that one was we stopped to see?
I remember Ricky, because he was a lot more fun than the other one, because the other one, all he wanted to do was play funeral. We'd just get the doll buried and he'd dig it up and let's start over again. So many times you can play funeral.
Interesting kid.
He was everything. The dolls were buried in. The doll was buried in the same shoebox, the same viewing. The doll had a little cover over it. The same viewing.
About our family?
Yeah,
I want to cut this part out.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I remember that. And Bertie Lee worked downtown, right?
Yeah, at a store, dry goods store.
And she was wasn't she named after Grandma's dad, Bird?
I assume she was. I wasn't there.
Oh. Yeah, okay. And I remember, what I loved most about their place was they says, no, you're going to have to let the trains through. So, several times during the night, the trains went through, and they says you just need to let them go through. So, be gone before you know
They
it.
were right at the end of the front yard.
I know, yeah.
I've been to that house.
Yeah.
Yeah, the train
Okay.
it would go by right there in front of the house. And
Yeah.
they just tell me, just got to let them through. They have to go through, and
Dad,
whatever.
after Grandma left Tennessee and came up to marry Grandpa,
They married in Tennessee.
they married in Tennessee and then came back here. How many times did Grandma get to go back?
Not very many.
I didn't think so either.
The first, I don't know whether she went back
I'll be around for a while.
in the 20s or not. I wasn't around, but The first time I knew she went back was 1933 when her dad got killed. He was working on the highway and he stepped out from the behind the truck and a woman hit him in the car and killed him. And that's the only time I ever seen my grandpa was in the coffin.
Oh my goodness.
And I never seen my grandma, Thomas.
See ya. Thanks for coming.
So,
Yeah, I didn't ever remember any time when I was growing up that I knew that she had left to go back to Tennessee, so.
well, I don't recall that she did, but
Yeah.
surely she got to go back sometime between, what was it, 22 or 22 they were married, 1922,
Yeah,
and 33. I would think she might have, but
but even after that, you know, there was the only thing they had was letters
yeah,
through the post office. I mean, we didn't have any of these conveniences we have today to be able to Skype or something. That was really something to leave your home,
yeah.
move to who knows where, Iowa, and then be able to live and not be able to do anything with your parents besides just
And then
ride or family.
she had a sister die up at Knoxville in the TB sanitarium in 28, and we've got a copy of a letter from her just before she died somewhere.
really?
I don't
It's
know
in
where it
that
is.
book.
Huh?
It's in that book.
In that book,
Yeah, she
Yeah,
sacrificed a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I can understand what you sacrificed because I know how hard it is on me to be away from family. Marilyn, you want to?
I need to stand up for a while.
You need to stand up for a while. Okay.
We didn't
don't you
go
stand over
back
here?
too much.
Where I can
I won't.
get some
Funerals.
of your
I won't talk to you.
Funerals.
You don't need to hear, see me.
And we didn't go back to, of course, that was a lot. Dad went back to his mother and dad's funeral, but we didn't go back.
Okay. When did they die?
One of them, Grandma, I think, died in 46. But Grandpa died a little ahead of that, but I don't remember.
And what they die of? Didn't one of your grandmas die of TB?
I don't know what
Two of Grandma's
Mom's mother
sisters
died.
died of
Huh?
TB. Two of Grandma's sisters died of TB.
Well, I knew the one did, right?
Two of them.
Two of them.
How many sisters did she have?
Huh?
How many sisters did she have?
I only knew of three,
Oh,
and one brother.
Dick. His name is Richard. What about Grandma's family? Did you?
Well,
Do
it
you
was,
have any memories of?
it was through Bertie that I think that Dad and Brenda got together.
Oh, she introduced him?
Well, they went to the same church, and it was through them. I think they got Dad and Mom together
Oh,
with Dad's sister Susie and Mom's sister Bertie.
uh-huh. That's nice.
did they both have that Tennessee accent?
Well, Mom had it more than Dad.
Oh,
But Grandma didn't have it very, unless she lost it.
What?
She didn't have much in her
She
later
had a
years.
little
Unless
of it left. Everything was a dollar.
that's all.
Dollar.
Doll.
But Dad never had too much of it.
I think she called earrings earbobs too.
Well, they
That's what
they
they
dropped.
called.
What was the a poke? What was a poke? Poke. What, you want a poke? And I remember when I wiggled down there and Carrie Mae had asked me, "You want a poke?" And that's a Coke or bottle of pop.
Yeah, they used to say something about the, what is it they call the refrigerator?
Frigidaire.
Frigidaire or something like that. I never knew what she was talking about. And then I finally figured out she was talking about a refrigerator, but I think it was a Frigidaire or something.
That might have been. I don't know.
Or do you want a bottle of Doc?
Oh, Poke.
Well, she Pope. You sure wasn't Doc?
Poke.
Okay. Well, maybe she did Doc and Pope. Because I don't know. It's just, I know one thing. Carrie Mae's son, Tommy, I can remember sitting at that table and listening to him talk. He must have rambled on for 45 minutes. I did not know what that guy said. He had such a thick accent and he talked so slow, everything just slurred all together. I didn't know. I couldn't tell one word from the other.
Well, we stopped to see Tommy and his second wife there when Marilyn and Mary Sue went down there with me.
Oh,
And they lived just one door or two doors north.
It was the end of the street, wasn't it? Wasn't it the end of the street?
Yeah, we stopped there on the way back through.
Yeah, when we come back from
Yeah.
Florida.
When you came back with Kenny and
And landed with it.
When you went up on the top of the hill on the north side of their houses, I think it seemed like we went down farther on that street. Wasn't a couple doors down.
That's where Tommy lives now, a couple dollars north of where Bertie and Carrie live.
I remember the house. I love that. Love the trains.
But I don't remember what his boys' names were.
Well, one was Ricky, and Ricky was the only one that was fun to be around.
Well, they divorced and she took the boys with her. And I never seen them around.
Well, they said that Ricky was killed in the service. I've heard that.
I didn't know that.
He was killed in the service,
You
and
remember him telling us that, Mary Sue? Huh?
I don't know.
I believe he was, and that he was killed in the service, but he was really a nice guy, a really nice kid. He was normal. He didn't want to bury anything.
he was in the service.
Okay.
What did you want to know?
Oh, and then, did you eat a lot of fried green tomatoes? And did you like them?
I never ate a lot of them, but we had them every once in a while. Mom would fix fried green tomatoes. And yeah, I liked them.
And okra.
And okra.
And okra.
And zucchini. I remember him in squash.
We brought okra back with us when we went down for Grandpa's funeral in 1933. And we raised okra every year after that and had okra.
Just use the seeds from the plants before?
Yeah, we'd save seeds and plant them. So we raised okra every year. And the only place we can get okra now at the restaurants over at the
Country Kitchen.
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
How about pork and beans?
I had enough of those in the Navy. It took me years before I could eat pork and beans.
Yeah, but
We had them for breakfast 3 mornings a week with a spoonful of ketchup on it.
That's what you had for breakfast this morning. But it was bacon and
But I bet it was probably 6 or 8 years after I got out of the Navy before I could eat beans again.
Dad, when Grandma Bert was alive, I asked her what the greatest invention was for her as far as housekeeping. So what do you think the best thing to come along in farming has been in your farming life?
I don't know what she said.
She said dish soap. Because they used to wash soap with lye.
Well, they
and
made
everything-
lye soap.
Lye soap.
Yeah.
And everything laid on the top. So when dish soap came, it still looked like soap bubbles on top. And she thought that was the greatest thing ever. So what's been the best thing for you that you can think of, or one of the best just in farming?
Well, probably the combine. We had combines, but we could only combine small grain with them. And we had the old corn pickers we had to set out in the open on. And when there was a strong wind, all that chaff that was coming along, it hits you right in the face. And
so like tractor cab.
Yeah, that's what I was
Cabs.
thinking.
Cabs.
Cab.
well, yeah, that was probably a good thing.
Super 92 combine you had didn't have a cab on it either.
No, I didn't have a cab on the combine or the tractor, either one. 67, I finally bought a tractor that I put a cab on it. It didn't come with one, but I put a cab on
I
it.
remember that.
But it was so loud inside, you about had to keep the door open to stand it.
It was like a plastic covering type thing? It
Well,
snapped or something?
metal, it was metal.
Oh, was it?
No, you're
I
thinking of a
remember-
heat houser.
Oh, that's the heat houser, yeah.
Yeah, we had some heat housers on tractors, but you couldn't have one on with a corn picker.
Interesting, yeah.
The weather was a lot nicer then, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, nicer weather.
Not as cold.
I remember walking to school one morning, Dad said if we'd help him finish the chores, that he'd take us to school. It was 20 below zero that morning, and we were going to country school a mile east, and we couldn't get the car started. We pushed it out of the garage, pushed it down the hill, pushed it up the road. We never did get it started.
You might as well have walked.
And then we had to walk. And when we got to school, our faces were, got in where it was warm, our faces started burning because we frosted our face.
Frosted it. I remember on the farm one day, it had snowed a whole lot, and trying to determine if there was going to be country school. They determined it was, and nobody could really get out of their driveways, and so you hitched up the tractor and a wagon, and I remember being in that wagon, and you went around picking people up. We were in the back of a wagon, and then you took us to school.
You invented the school bus. Wow, I didn't know that.
I just remember being in the back of the wagon this one time, getting to school.
Yeah, why'd they ever have school? You had
Who
to-
knows? Mrs. Fay would have had to have gotten there. She must have, I don't know if
Afraid
you
she'd
picked her
walk.
up or not.
She probably walked.
I don't know.
She probably got in the wagon too.
She'd been 2 miles east, but she'd probably walk.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, the country school, what I remember was that horrible outhouse with the door broken on it.
I didn't remember that, but the snakes bothered me.
In the outhouse?
Dad came and got rid of snakes one time.
Yeah, Karen Silk, or I forget what her name is. now.
Sharon Fay.
Huh?
Sharon
Sharon, yeah.
Fay.
She told me one time, a few years ago, she said, the thing I remember is you coming getting the snakes out of the cave.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Yes. So you
What'd
were
they
the,
use the cave for?
For,
Storms?
Shelter.
in case of a storm, all the schools had a cave in case of a tornado.
Yeah, we had a cave, I just didn't remember using it.
We had a cave at home, but, one time I was farming this 80 down here, next to town, and I seen a storm a-coming, or a cloud a-coming, and I took off for home, going down 48. I got 4 miles south of town, and I seen I wasn't gonna make it, the storm was coming. And I pulled in there at Adams, they were all standing in the garage, and I drove up there and shut it off and run in the garage. It was starting to rain, and Bill and somebody else said, I'm going to the basement, I don't look good. And Roxy and I stayed in the garage and watched it, and the tornado went up Sweet Street, and just a little less than a quarter of a mile south of me. And when I got home, they were grading the road from Sweet Street to the cemetery, South O's, and there sat the caterpillars out in front of our house running, nobody around. And
They were in the cave.
they were with, Marion had got you kids in the cave, and those guys come running and got in the cave. And the tornado, I had started to bale some hay, and it was a little too wet. So I come up here to cultivate, and anyway, it picked those bales up and scattered them everywhere, and the windrows was blowing everywhere. I never did get the hay. And when I was combining oats, I found a lot of the bales out in the oats.
Oh my gosh.
But it took a place right west of me, it turned the granary, picked it up and moved it. But I followed it on up Sweet Street then to home, and I thought that was so funny. Those guys jumped off of their cats, left them run. Nobody in sight.
I was a little bit scared. I can remember standing on the fence, just, I think Marilyn and Kenny Mercy, we were watching this tornado, and it started moving faster. I wasn't, I figured it's way far off. We got plenty of time to watch it, and then before you knew it, here it was right there in front of you. And I remember running to that cave as fast as I could.
You guys remember the Shetland pony when we got it?
Yes, I do. I remember the Shetland pony. It's almost rolled over on you, right?
No, it strangled me in the clothesline. We went
Um,
under the
She went under the
clothesline,
clothesline with it.
and I got it right here.
wow. It's a nice farm. You started the dairy operation in what year?
Well, I was milking a few cows from the beginning, but at about 51, I think I went up and bought a bunch of cows in Minnesota and Wisconsin and got into dairying, and then I was afraid I was going to get called back to when Tommy got called back, because we was both in the reserves for the Korean War. And I sold out the dairy, all except a few cows, and then I didn't get called back because Kenny and Marilyn, we had 2 kids. And, so then I restocked in the dairy then the next year and went back into dairying.
When did you build the milk house again?
50,
50.
the milk house, not the parlor.
Oh, the milk house.
I was milking on the east side of the barn
Yeah.
then.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, I don't remember what year, I built the milking parlor onto the milk house.
Was there a year on that slab that you saw, Ken?
Oh, man, it probably was. I don't remember
I don't
now.
remember. I remember when you built it, but I don't.
But the
remember.
milk parlor?
Milk and parlor, yeah. I remember when that went up. I think
Yeah,
it was in the.
I built it right onto the milking house, or the first milk house.
Late 50s, maybe?
It was in the 50s, but I don't remember when.
I remember that big bulk tank that had that big stir thing in it. And I remember the cats being in there. I would go in there because I thought it was a really great thing to help Dad with the cow. I'd give them the feed. But the cats would come, meow, they wanted some of the milk.
I remember untangling the things that we washed, the filters. After we washed those things for the milk filters, we had to untangle them and get them all ready to go back out. They were always tangled up.
Yeah. Dad, why don't you tell me a little bit about Grandpa's family?
Which grandpa
Well,
cousin?
cousins, yeah.
I don't know much about the family.
You never got to really go visit them or anything?
Well, I got to see him a couple times, but I just knew Grandpa cousins came from Holland when he was about 9 years old. And I don't know too much more about him. I've seen him a couple times before he died. So.
Okay, Mom's side of the family, Grandpa Bert always talked about perk. He said, right before we would sit down to eat a meal, he says, dig deep, the perk's at the
Oh,
bottom.
the perp.
Perp.
Grandpa Cousin.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that Grandpa Cousin?
That was Grandpa Bert.
Him and his dad was on an Indian reservation in South Dakota, and they had a pot full of stuff cooking, and they told him to come get him something to eat. He said to dig deep, the perps are dogs in the bottom.
Yeah. Dog meat.
They eat dog.
Did they dig deep?
I don't know.
And wasn't Grandpa Bert's mother injured in a storm?
Well, while it was in Dakota, a tornado come through. They called it cyclone back then. And a piece of wood was driven through her leg. And she got blood poisoning. And one of the Indian squaws made a poultice out of cow manure and put on it and drawed it out. She got all right.
Ew. I don't know. There's got to be something else besides cow manure. Okay, I remember also Grandpa, you couldn't really shake a rattle around him too much because he lived in a soddy, and something about snake.
Well, they had rattlesnakes in the top of it. You could lay in bed and see the rattlesnakes.
Yeah, crawling across the ceiling.
Well, they had a thatch roof. They didn't have a solid roof. It was like grass.
Could those snakes got into the siding?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't hard for them to get in there.
How'd they keep from getting bit?
I guess they didn't bother them.
Oh, give me a nice home. See, Grandpa Bert, didn't his family come over from England?
Somewhere back they did, but not his immediate family didn't. His dad and mother were not from, they were English, but they weren't from England.
They were from,
United States.
oh, okay. Let me see. Uncle Harry was quite a character, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
He
More ways than one.
More ways than one. Because he was always, joking about stuff or, something. We talked about the other day about how this calf that he pulled.
Yeah.
What was wrong with the mother cow again?
Well, it's just a lot of times you had to pull calves. And this cow was having a calf and was having trouble, and I was out in the field, and Harry pulled it for me. But the calf ended up on top of him.
Yeah, and he said he had to.
He had to lick it dry.
Okay.
Can you tell about when you and Mom met?
Yeah.
Well, we met in school. We were both in the same grade at school. Well, the first time I seen her was we had to take an 8th grade examination before we could go to high school out in the country. And the center school was where you had it. And she didn't have, there was just the one school in Cass Township that she went to. And so she came down to Pleasant Township to our center school for her 8th grade test. And that's the first time I seen her, to know who she was. But then we got acquainted in school about our sophomore year. A lady out there, one of the gals from the class out west of town, had a party and invited about 6 or 8 of us out to that, and that's how we got acquainted.
Wasn't Norma Lee also in your class?
Yeah, Norma Lee was in our class. In fact, our senior year, her husband and, well, at that time wasn't her husband, and Marion and I, we run around together some. They had a hill southwest of Grizzle called Sands Hill that people would test their cars out on. Even when Dad come out here, that was the place they'd gather and try to test their cars, see if they could get them up over Sands Hill. And one Saturday night, Marlon had Henry Anderson's old Studebaker. He was drafted, and he let Marlon use his car while he was gone. And we was down there, and Marlon wanted to try to go over Sands Hill. We didn't quite make it over, and we had to back down that thing with a flashlight that night.
Where was Sands Hill at?
Southwest of Chris, about 3 miles south, and then up over the hill. That road went pretty well straight up.
Probably see it from here if you were to walk.
Yeah, well, they've done away with it now. You go around the hill instead of up over it.
Did you take a car up that hill?
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you get over?
yeah, I made it over.
What was the make of car?
Oh, Ford Coupe,
Oh.
37 Ford Coupe,
What was the first car you owned?
a 37 Ford Coupe.
That was it.
So the
And
first thing you did
it rattled so that you couldn't hardly hear one another talk in it.
We've had some cars like that.
So when you get this car, the first thing you want to do is go up over Sands Hill.
Well, Dad said that back when he come out here in 1915, of course he worked down there by just a couple miles from it. And on Sunday they'd gather over there to see whose cars could get over it. And the Stanley steamer at that time was the only car that was making it over the hill. The rest of them would quit feeding gas in before they'd get over it. And that's what happened to us.
Okay, you know, Kenny asked you how you met Mom, but what did you do for your first date?
It was that party.
Oh, that party was your first date?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So what was your second date?
Probably another party. I think.
Y'all didn't go to the movie theater?
Not right away. We didn't. No.
Did you have chaperone dates?
No.
Oh. Thinking back then.
Nobody wanted to ride in the Model T with them.
It wasn't a Model T, but it rattled worse than a Model T.
Yeah, anybody else have any questions?
I don't.
Oh, yeah, Mike has one.
No, so you got 5 minutes left.
Oh, I only got 5 minutes left?
Well, that's close enough.
Yeah.
Okay, you turned 89 in January?
No,
What?
88.
You're 88 already.
No, I'm not. I won't be till January.
So you
Figure it
didn't,
out. Figure it
Let's
out.
map it.
you didn't turn 88 last January?
No,
87.
87.
87.
87?
88 this year.
Really? What year were you born?
I think he knows his age. He's 20 years older than I am, and so I know how old he is.
Wait, no, what year? Year.
27.
You were born in 27. What year was Mom born in?
26.
26, you're right, 26.
She was 9 months older than I was.
Yeah, that was that old joke about they were just thinking about you. And she was born. Well, I guess that's a wrap. Thank you for all who participated in this. I'm going to put this on a CD with a few other things for you. Unless Mary seriously?
Just about.
You woke her up.
She just wanted to forget herself for a while.
Any of the grandchildren have a question? Oh, that house down there, wasn't that built by, will you turn that thing? Wasn't that house down there built by our great grandfather?
It was built by Marion's grandfather in
Okay,
1917 and 18. He worked for a carpenter, with a carpenter here in Griswold, and evidently he built the most of it by himself, and then probably when they needed help, why the carpenter would help him.
wow.
You didn't know how old Dad was?
I could have sworn he was 88.
How old are you?
Okay, I'm 61. I know how old I am.
So,
Are you sure?
Okay, I was born in 53.
Let's map it.
I think 53, do the math.
60.
You get your calculator on your phone and do that.
That's 60.
Didn't I turn 61 in February? You pull my leg.
We just know you're the youngest, so.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm the youngest. Yeah, you're 6 years older than me. Kenny's 4. Mary Sue's 3. I remember that much, so I usually start at my birthday and count to know how old you guys are. Count up 6 for you, 4 for him, 3 for her.
Okay, when you count up 6 for me and know mine, add 20 to it, and that's Dad's. 20 years, and that's Dad's age. When you figure out mine, he's 20 years older than I am.
So you're 67.
So that makes him
87, okay. So he's gonna be 88. How old was Grandma Cousins before she died?
I think she made it to 90.
Yeah.
Dad was 89 and Tommy was 89.
And
Tommy
she-
turned 89 on the 28th of April and died the 8th of March, I believe, or 8th of May.
Yeah, he didn't get to be 89 for very
But that
long.
doesn't necessarily predict how long you'll be around, Dad.
Well,
Because remember the
it-
last time we talked about this, I said you'll probably be the last man standing of all of us.
Yeah, you're probably gonna live to be 100. What do you think?
I hope not.
They're centurions.
I
There's
got enough aches and pains now.
I was reading this article of the centurions in the country, and I think the oldest centurion's like 112 or something like that. And of the centurions in the country, they says, what's your, what has caused you to how have you lived so long? And the answer that everybody said, they gave a lot of other things, but the one answer that everybody agreed on was they all ate fruit, lots of fruits and vegetables. They ate lots of fruits and vegetables, and
Well, then
those.
I'm not gonna live long.
Forever.
Well,
I thought it was sushi. I thought it was sushi.
No, really, the article
Hamburger.
said the only thing they said
Meat
that was in
potatoes.
common with each other was they ate a lot of fruits and vegetables.
Well,
So
There's no diet.
and I think family history has a lot to do with whether you're going to be a centurion or not. Like you kind of, they're some of those centurions have outlived children and grandchildren, and it's really kind of a sad thing.
Well, I think that's long.
Yeah.
That's long
I
enough.
think
You should
everyone's
have.
drifting.